If we should focus on success stories, the one that I would focus on is obviously the beginning. I was there. I was present at creation. The December 1992 Ministerial Council in Stockholm, where the office was really set up, and then right into the issues of the Baltic countries that had regained their independence, and all of the issues associated, both with Russian troop withdrawals, that's a separate issue, and the minority issues, culminating, I would say, in the summer 1993 Narva crisis, which was sorted out, sort of, with the active help of Mark van der Stoel, but also with other actors. Because it always, and I think that's one of the lessons. The office is crucially important, but it's never enough. It requires the active support of governments and other actors acting in concert. That is the way in which we diffuse that particular crisis.
So instruments are not a substitute for the lack of common vision. And I'm concerned that we are sort of lacking more and more this common political vision that would help us to use our instrument, particularly when we want to prevent tragedies from happening.
And I think it is something which is very often overlooked, that this institution is actually really the first one in international politics that is aimed at prevention. In the 1980s, we were discussing preventive action in the field of refugee law, but it was for the first time implemented in minority protection. So that really was the biggest success at that time.
Do you feel that you have ownership of this process fully, or do you still feel it's something that's been done to the sort of, quote, new countries by the, quote, old countries?
Well, we feel we have certain ownership stemming from the fact that it was my previous country, Czechoslovakia, was holding the post of the chairman in office in 1992 when this office was designed. Right. And then we were one of the objects of the activities, and we have been throughout these 20 years of Slovakia, 20 years of this office, have been very closely interlinked, and we had worked with all three high commissioners very closely in drafting our legislation, in listening to their advice, in helping us to sort out the problems and tensions we had at moments with Hungary. And what I can say now is that it was this office and it were the three high commissioners who helped cultivate the relationship between Slovakia and Hungary to the level which we enjoy right now. So, and it was possible because we had never any doubts about the impartiality of the High Commissioners, about their goodwill to find a solution to the issues we were or may have not been able to sort out between the two of us.
Peace is far more than the absence of war. Peace is really sort of societies adhering to certain values and certain principles. The ghosts of the past are still there, all over, should not be neglected. The main enemy of Europe is our history. That should not be forgotten. It's still there.
Paradoxically, after you join the European Union, well, this is not a cure or medicine for solving all the problems, unfortunately. And then you find out that the European Union itself is not equipped with dealing with problems between its members. So EU has to turn again to the good old OSCE and High Commissioner to ask to deal with this issue. So that proves the relevance of these instruments also for the European Union.
When you go into sort of a bilateralization, that tends to be dominated by the fringes in each of the countries. You have something on one fringe, stupid said, which is answered by another stupidity on the fringes of the political spectrum of the other countries. And then it sort of escalates. And we have the sound middle ground that is often there between the two countries being marginalized. I think we've seen, I mean, Slovakia, Hungary, I mean, you can have use that as an example of exactly the same dynamics. Then it requires a political leadership to calm things down. I mean, you have these guys making these comments anyhow, that's nearly unavoidable, but you need to mobilize the political energy in the middle ground, so to say. Then I think this particular institution is discreetly often very useful, even in some of the cases that when you mentioned where it might not be known that they are involved, looking at the issues and giving discreet advice, thus reinforcing the possibilities of the responsible political leadership to counter the rhetoric that is often there.
I just want to finish with a very depressing moment I had on an American talk radio show where I was on against some slightly mad Europe basher. And I was arguing in favour of the EU and all these institutions, and I said, it's thanks to this we have peace in Europe. And my interlocutor snapped back at me, you're not at peace, you're just between genocides. And I thought, I was very depressed by this. And I really do feel it's organisations like this one, people like you, High Commissioner, who are our best hope of proving that approach wrong. And certainly from my end, and I think from the journalists who deal with this issue, we've got the highest respect for what you do, and we wish you every success and over the forthcoming years.